have now, Debbie?
I have 4, so they're all going to be there, and
Lovely.
Nice.
yeah, looking forward to it.
Is it their school break?
You know what, I have 2 grandchildren here, and it's not their school break, but my daughter, one daughter lives in Montana, and their school break is next week. So, and she's a teacher, so we have to go according to, she has 0 flexibility, so we're going then.
Still waiting. My son, they're trying to have a family, so hopefully.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's Barbara that's speaking. I can't hear you very well, Barbara. Is your can you hear
Maybe
me?
I was talking too soft.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me at all?
I can.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So Debbie, can you run with this and do the intro, and I'm just going to work
I
on this
can.
other thing for a sec. I'm
Okay.
recording so I can
can.
fix this in the editing.
And Martin, will you be back before 11, or you don't know?
Yes. No, I will be. I'll be
Oh,
both. I just need to
okay.
set up one with the other.
Okay, no problem. I just will be departing about 5 to 11. So
No, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Sorry, Susan.
okay.
So-
No problem. Bye.
Okay. All right. So it being 10 o'clock, maybe we'll get started. And I'm Debbie Wolfson, and I'm co-chair of South Winnipeg Seniors Resource Council, a volunteer. And Martin is our resource coordinator, who does all the arranging for this. So everybody has been on this Zoom before, I'm presuming at some point. So just to let you know to be careful of your noises in your room, and if you're needing to put yourself mute, put mutes just for outside noises. And if you have a question, you can press chat or put your hand up, and I'm sure Susan will gladly stop and answer any questions as we go along. So I want to introduce Susan, and I have known Susan for a long time, but haven't seen her in quite a number of years. And Susan is Executive Director of Pembina Active Living 55 Plus. And she has a background in teaching, facilitator, presenter, and working with seniors for over 30 years. And she, I think, will enjoy very much having you talk and share your stories about cooking for one with us, Susan, and look forward to hearing.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Now,
Thank
hopefully you can share your screen and everything. Okay.
You know what?
Or-
I don't need.
or
I
you're
don't
chatting.
need. I don't need to share my screen. It's going to be you're in my kitchen right now, everyone. And it's just going to be a very casual time of conversation and sharing ideas. So I just do have one question though. Are you seeing me as speaker, or are you seeing Debbie as speaker? I see Debbie as speaker.
Both.
Oh, both? Okay.
Oh,
That's
speaker.
fine.
Oh,
Yeah, it depends on the view
Like
you
the
have on the
big
top.
square.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you go up to
that's,
the top and do speaker view instead of gallery, then you'll get yourself
Yeah, I've got myself.
and share. Okay. Oh, Sally, you're sharing the screen. You shouldn't be doing that.
no.
It's okay.
It's pretty, but
I will stop participant sharing. There we go. All right, Susan, take it away.
Okay, so as long as everyone can see me, I'm happy. Because I don't really like to see myself. It's not a good look. Anyway, thank you so much. This is kind of hard for me. My cousin laughed when I said I was going to be doing a presentation on cooking for one, because she knows me very well. And my mom had a plaque on her kitchen wall that said, "The only thing I like to make for dinner is a reservation." And I totally agree with that. So I'm not coming to you as an expert. I'm coming to you as someone who is on their own and who used to have to cook for 5 people, and the change was very surprising. A little bit of background about me. As Deb said, I am working at Pembina Active Living, and I also am a teacher. My passion are those two things besides my family and my friends, of course. But I'll tell you, I think Merle asked me to do this. I'm going to put a little wee PAL commercial in right now. She didn't know much about PAL, and she said, could you tell people about PAL is the acronym for Pembina Active Living 55 plus. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to hear what we do out there. We are located at 170 Fleetwood Road, which is like 3 or 5 minutes from the McGillivray Costco. So anytime you want to go out to Costco, come on by and visit us. We have all kinds of programs, but our latest ones that I want to share with you are ones that you could attend, actually. PAL Presents is every Monday from 1 to 2:30. And we have each week a different thing. Like one week is a speaker about different topics. The next week is a concert. The next week is a game of bingo, or probably like about 5 games. I don't know how long it takes to, in an hour and a half to play that many games, but and the next week we're trying to do cultural connections. So far we've had the Métis culture, and we had another culture just recently. Oh, East Indian. I think it was Pakistan culture. And we're getting different people to come and they talk about their culture and they bring a little bit of food to try and some music and dancing. So it's lots of fun. This is free to any senior in the south end of the city. And we have a new Ring and Ride program. It is not the regular Ring and Ride that you can go to a grocery store or to the doctor or wherever. This is the Ring and Ride just to get you to come out to PAL. So if you're interested and you want to give that a try, please do. We have some wonderful creative programs. We have exercise programs. Our creative programs are painting and book club and a writing group. Our writing group is going to speak next week at PAL Presents. They're going to each read a little thing. So it's lots of fun. You make new friends, and we hope that you can join us sometime. That's my little spiel for PAL. So let's get started. I know you're all excited. As I said, please don't expect me to be a nutritionist. I am not. I am just a woman who is living on her own and who likes to cook, and I didn't at first. How many of you like cooking for one? Everybody?
Yeah.
Wave your hand if you like cooking for one. Okay, some do, some don't. I'll tell you what, I didn't. Because I went from 5 people in my family and cooking at a specific time because we all had schedules, and all of a sudden it was me. My kids grew up and my life changed and I'm on my own, and I go into the kitchen to cook and I'd be like, ew, this is like a creepy, lonely feeling. I'm not sure that I like this very much. So for a while, I was just having soup or cereal or an egg and toast or something simple. Frozen processed foods that I didn't have to worry about. And of course, dinner out with friends. But after a while, I got tired of that. And I decided I need to step up and cook for myself and enjoy it, because I've always loved TV shows, cooking shows, and seeing what they make. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to try that. I never actually do it, but I love to think I might someday do it. And I love reading recipe books. You know, honestly, I have about 5 recipe books that I just, for enjoyment, I just look at them and think, oh, I'm going to make that. So although I have that love in my heart, I hadn't actually done it. And then I decided I'm going to start doing it. But this is where I want you to step in here, because I had to find out, what are the benefits of cooking for yourself? I needed to do that cognitive therapy to change my mind from, ew, it's lonely and it makes me feel bad, to, I like this. This is a good thing for me. Can anybody share, what would the benefit did you find cooking for yourself?
Well, it was a rude awakening for sure, because, you know, I lost my husband and suddenly I'm on my own.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that really kind of hit me was, well, unless you cook more healthy, not that I wasn't before, you better look after yourself. So I didn't go into anything fancy. I've never been a fancy cook, but I established certain criteria.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. That's awesome. Thanks, Barbara.
Yeah.
Someone named Shirley Ann just wrote in the chat, I often cook in bulk and package meals for the freezer to save time and effort. This or a single meal means good portion control. Awesome. You guys, you don't even need me here. You could just have a little chat, I think, because that's exactly what I was going to be speaking about later as well. There are so many things that we can do to realize the benefits, to enjoy our time. I'll tell you what, I mean, I realized I can eat whenever I want. I don't have to cook for 5:30 anymore. If I get home at 4:30 and I'm hungry, I can cook supper then. If I want to wait till 7:30, I know it's not the healthiest thing, but I can do it if I want. The thing about me in this presentation is whatever you want to do to feel better about yourself, that's what you should be doing. So that was a benefit to me. I can eat whenever I want and I can eat whatever I want. I had an aunt who had 3 kids and she made them each a different thing because they like different things for one meal. I went there for lunch one day because we all went to the same school. And there she was. Oh, you want this kind of soup? Oh, you want a sandwich? Oh, I was like, what? My mom was like, you eat it or you just suffer till supper time. We're all nodding here. We know what our moms are like. But I can't now. And what I would tend to do with my 3 boys is I would just ignore what they didn't like. None of them liked peas. I loved peas, but they didn't like them. So only I have to qualify. I like frozen peas. I don't like canned peas. I don't know why. But I would avoid them because my kids didn't like them. And once I was on my own, it's like, hey, I can have peas now. So that was a benefit. I could cook what I want. I could cook whenever I want. And I can turn up the tunes and nobody's saying, oh, I don't want you to play that music. I could do whatever I want to make it enjoyable. So those are the things that changed my mind about enjoying cooking alone. Make it fun for yourself. If you want to even cook in your pajamas, as long as it's not big sleeves that are going to get on fire, do whatever you want to make it enjoyable. So now it's time to talk about what we actually can do to make life easier, to make it money saving, to make it fun. And the 4 or 5 topics I have for you, let me see. I'm going to first talk about meal plans and groceries. And then I'm going to talk to you about eating healthy. I had a health scare in January, guys, and I had to go on a special diet for 28 days. And it was a game changer for me, actually. I'll tell you about it later. We're going to go on a tour of my freezer back here. That's my freezer back there. And I'm going to show you how I do things. And like I said, there are no rules. If you like your freezer just packed full of stuff and you've got another freezer in the other room full of stuff, hey, that's great. Whatever you like. But this is what works for me. We're going to talk about tips and tricks and hacks. And that's where I want you to start thinking even now, what you can share with us about things that you do that make it a little bit easier, that save you a little bit of money, that make cooking for one fun. So let's start with meal plans and groceries. How many of you make a meal plan before you go grocery shopping? Can you raise your hand if you do? Some of you do and some of you don't.
I just make a grocery list. Yeah, I don't.
You make a grocery list? That's okay. That's absolutely fine. I tend to make a plan now because of that diet that I had been on. But before that, I was like you, Barbara, I would just make a grocery list because why is it important? Anybody tell me, why is it important to have a grocery list or to make a plan? Any chef or cook in a facility or in a restaurant will tell you to have a meal plan or a grocery list. Why?
So you have the ingredients when you want to make something.
So you have the ingredients, obviously, absolutely the truth. You don't want to come home and think you're going to make this lasagna and you forgot the lasagna noodles or something, right? So thank you for that, Shirley Ann. What about saving time? When you know what it is that you're making, you can prep it ahead of time and you've saved yourself a lot of time. If you don't know what you're making and you just buy your groceries and put them away, it's like, what do I make today for supper? And the other thing is you save money. Interestingly enough, you save money when you have a meal plan. because your tendency is to, if you don't have a plan, you know what, let's just go buy something to eat. Let's go to the restaurant and get something. But if you have a meal plan and you know that you've got the groceries for it, you can save. For example, on Saturday, I had made a huge container, a 9x13 pan of a homemade recipe I just found online, Grandma's mac and cheese. And it was awesome. If you want it, I'm going to give some of these recipe things I tell you to Martin. And he said, if you guys have any as well, you can send them to him and he'll send it out to all of us. Wouldn't that be cool?
Good.
So I made this big mac and cheese 9x13 because it just looked so awesome. And it was delicious. And I did what Shirley Ann had said before. I cut it up into, it made a lot, and it was about this high, like really high in the pan. So I made about 6, I'll just get the thing for you. 6 of these.
Oh.
And you see that?
Oh, yeah.
6 of them. And so on Saturday, my kids came over unexpectedly and they said, let's go out for supper. Well, guess what? When I go out for supper with my kids, and it's my own fault, they don't ask me to pay, but I always pay. And I really can't afford it. So I said, hey guys, I just made this great recipe. You want to try this mac and cheese? I put together a salad. I pulled out a couple of the things and we had a great supper. And guess what? I didn't have to pay $70 for taking them out. So meal plan is a good way to save money as well, if that's an issue. Okay, let me see. So now you've gotten your meal plan, you've gotten your groceries, you come home. It's time to prepare. I used to, before my special diet in January for 28 days, I'll tell you what it was. A smoothie for breakfast, a smoothie for lunch, 1 protein and 2 steamed vegetables at supper for 28 days. It was really hard. And I don't eat like that now, so don't get the wrong impression. But there was no sugar, no flour, no dairy, like no cheese or eggs. Oh my goodness. No caffeine, no coffee or tea, and no alcohol. I only have a glass of wine like once a month, so that wasn't a big one for me. But the other ones, I love sweets. I'm a sweet girl and I love my bread, so that was hard. Anyway, so I had to go with that. So now all of a sudden I needed to prep my food because smoothies in the morning take a lot of work. And as you know, I'm still working, so I have to go get up really early, make these smoothies. So I thought I'm going to start prepping them ahead. So I would get the fruit that I wanted, chop it up into big chunks about that big, and put them in a baggie and put them in the freezer. And so all I had to do in the morning was put in my either water or orange juice, non-sweetened orange juice, whatever it is you want to use, and then throw in the ingredients because they're all chopped up already. Then I go get myself ready, and they had time to not be quite so frozen, and then I blend them and off I go with my breakfast. So I actually continued that. Even though I finished the diet, I have a smoothie every morning. I still sometimes, especially on the weekends, I'll have a regular breakfast or tea and toast with the smoothie. But it's a really good thing to prep your food ahead when you get home from the grocery store, right? Another thing you can prep is the meat trays. And I think we were talking about this earlier. Sometimes I just want to make one meal one time. So I prep my trays of meats because, again, it's cheaper when you're grocery shopping to buy a tray of meat than to buy just a couple in a little tray. Yeah. Much cheaper. And so I take them home and I take the tray apart and I wrap each one individually in saran wrap, and then I put them in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer. So it's a way for you to just be able to take out what you need. That's the important takeoff of that one. Just take out what you need. And so I would do that. I would just take out what I need. But other times I want the whole tray because I am going to have the kids over or something. So again, it's up to you whether you prep a tray of meat or not. But I usually try to prep some of the meat so that I can just pull it out when I want. I'll have to tell you, I have a cousin who she likes to cook a huge lasagna and she'll eat it 5 days in a row. I don't like that. I like to have it change up every day. And I was like, why don't you freeze that? She goes, it's never as good frozen. I said, yeah, it is now. I mean, there's things like, well, even the oven is better than, she didn't like it in the microwave, and that's fine, but you can put it in the oven, you can put it in your air fryer. Do you guys know about air fryers? I love my air fryer and it's really healthy, right? Thank you. Anyway, so prepping food when you get home, it becomes a habit, because before I'd be at work, then I go get my groceries. I had my list, go get my groceries, come home. I was like, oh man, I don't want to prep. I'm just going to throw it in the wherever as it is. And after a while, it's like, this is more work. It's better to just, put on your big girl pants and just do it. And then once it's done, you've got it easier all week long. So I would suggest that you try to get in the habit. And it is a good habit, but if you don't feel like it, do what you like. So now we're talking about prepping the meals. I'm going to tell you something that my friend Laura, who is a farm girl, she's now 7. She told me she's going to be 78 soon. She's like 20 to me. She's so full of energy. And she buys the hugest tray of ground beef. And when she gets home, this is how she preps. She makes hamburger patties and she makes meatballs of a big 4-pound tray of lean ground beef. And she puts in eggs. I actually got the recipe. I did it. It's awesome. She puts in eggs. She puts in potatoes. Never heard of that before. She puts in rolled oats, which my mom used to put in crushed crackers, I think. And of course, the salt and pepper or whatever spices you want. Onion, chopped onion. But this is her secret ingredient. She puts in baking powder. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so then she makes this huge, big, and I did it. And it was awesome. And then she makes about 20 hamburger patties and about 24 meatballs. And she lays them out on a cookie sheet, raw, with parchment paper underneath in the freezer. So I did that. And it just keeps them separate, right? And the good thing about this is when you take them out to cook them, you're not taking out a box of frozen meat that you bought at the store that cost you a fortune and that has all kinds of sugars and chemicals. You're getting the real deal and you're getting it at a cheap price. And it is absolutely delicious. It's really good. I've never had potatoes in my burgers before, and they don't shrink. They shrink a little bit, but not like they usually do. So that little secret works. So sometimes I feel like that and I'll do that. Sometimes I don't. So I don't. And so now I guess we should talk about healthy eating. How are we doing for time, Deb? Oh yeah, we're okay. Healthy eating is important to me now because of that health scare. And by the way, I'm absolutely fine. I had tests done after the extreme diet that I was on, and they said all the numbers are good and you're fine. You just have to keep watching what you eat. And isn't that true about anything that we do? If you get a brand new car, if you can afford to, you want to put in the best gas because it's going to make it last longer and run smoother. Well, our bodies are getting older. We need to put in the best things for ourselves. And of course, when my kids heard about my issue I was having, my son got on the internet right away and he's like, Mom, never have sugar ever because sugar is poison. And I guess like, okay, I know, buddy, that you love me, but sugar is also a blessing to me. I love sweets, and once in a while I'm going to have some sweets. So what I learned, what I took from this scare and eating this way is take care of yourself. You're the only one that can decide what you want to eat, what you don't want to eat. I used to have a glass of pop every day when I came home from work. It was just something that made me feel better.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. I have hot water with lemon, herbal tea. I'll have cold water with lemon. My kids like the bubbly or whatever, but I don't like that, all the bubbles. So I don't have that. And it's cheaper for me because I don't have to buy it. Just have to go in the fridge and get my water. But it's taught me to take better care of me, to be careful. You know, in one can of someone told me this, I don't know if it's true, so you can Google it. One can of pop has like almost a half a cup of sugar in it. That's like crazy. And the other sugars that they put in the diet stuff are chemically and not good for your digestive system to try to get rid of. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about eating healthy, but it did actually help me to find ways to substitute things that were healthier. So I used to love having ice cream all the time. Now I buy sherbet. I used to have sour cream in a lot of my recipes. Now I use plain yogurt, works just as good. You can't tell the difference. It's fine. I used to have all kinds of sweets. Now I can't tell you that I still eat sweets, but I just need a bite. After the diet, a friend of mine invited me over and she said, "You can have cake now. Yay, I made your favorite cake." I love red velvet cake. I could only eat like, she gave me just not a big piece, a decent sized piece. I could not even eat half of it and I didn't want it anymore. And yet I loved having that little piece. So even when I go to Tim Hortons and I order something, if it's a muffin, I'll just eat half of it. I can take it home. I can, do what you want to be healthy. So that's talking about my health, and there's substitutes that can make you still feel good. When I feel like a chocolate, I have some semi-sweet chocolate chips with peanuts and raisins. I like that. When Cheerios, when you used to give your kids Cheerios when they were toddlers, I spray a little bit of olive oil, Pam, and yes, even the doctor said it's okay and safe to spray olive oil, Pam, on foods. And I spray it on there and put it in the frying pan with a little bit of garlic salt, and it's almost just like a really nice salty snack. So there's substitutes. So now it's your turn. I'm going to ask you, do you have any healthy substitutes that you use? You'll have to take yourself off mute if you want to talk. Oh, Merle. Hi, Merle. Nice to see you in person.
Finally, we meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing most of the things that you're doing, but
Awesome.
Interestingly, I always go with a list of things I need. But my biggest problem is I cook for 9 people every Sunday. My family come over, and hopefully they'll leave me one meal leftover. I know it's not a good thing that I don't serve again if there's more than one serving left over, because they leave me that one serving. Anyways, often I wait to see what the specials are or what the 30% off is when I buy, but I do buy volume and portion it up. That's a very important one, because I never know ahead what I feel like. And that's my biggest problem. What do I feel like tonight?
Yeah.
And what's in the house? So I always have fruit, of course, to eat.
Awesome.
So that's my sweet snack. I don't have as big a sweet tooth as some people might have, but I like to have fruit available. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, fruit is a very good substitute. But even with fruit, on this diet, I learned that ripe yellow bananas are not as good as green ones. The ripe yellow bananas have a ton more sugar than the green ones. And I don't know about eating those like raw, but I now put green ones in my smoothie and it tastes the same. It doesn't taste bitter or anything. So a little bit of green is better than all yellow. Just another little tip about saving your body from having to digest too much sugar. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have a substitute that they use that they'd like to share? Not at this time.
Okay. Well, what I learned to do when this happened was when I get a product, I like to get frozen for one thing, like not canned, like yourself.
Yeah, me too.
I check the sugar content, salt content.
Awesome.
Just automatically now, just the first thing I do. And I have a sweet tooth, but I've learned to, have a little bit, but not too much.
That's awesome.
I lost a fair amount of weight, but not huge. because I didn't want sugar all of a sudden, and I didn't want bread. And bread
Oh,
and
wow.
sugar are the worst. For
Yes,
me,
they
anyway.
are. I've learned that.
Yes, something I had to not realize at first, how bad it was. So, and I like popcorn, but now I found one that's not salty, no
Oh.
butter. It's Compliments brand, and I'll have I don't know, cup and a half in the evening for a
Awesome.
snack. I'm trying to
Awesome.
not eat the wrong snacks,
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So
That's
I use yogurt like in the morning
Mhm.
with fruit, fresh fruit. I never
Perfect.
buy juices. And
Perfect. Yeah, juice isn't the best either.
it's a learning process.
Yeah, it is a learn, and we can always learn. I just heard about I can't think of her name right now, but the lady who was the mayor of Mississauga, Ontario, she just died in February, I think, or the end of January, 107. I mean, that woman was a continuous learner.
Yeah.
She was the mayor of Mississauga till she was 94.
I
And
remember
then
that.
she worked for the one of the universities after that, and was a consultant for the city of Mississauga as well, right until she passed away. Like, she was a busy woman, and it's because she was a forever learner. So I appreciate you saying that, Barbara, that
Yeah.
keep learning, keep figuring out what you need to do, and keep looking at those nutrition labels.
Yes.
It takes a bit of time, but we've got time, and we're doing it for us. We're the ones that are going to take the best care of us. We all know that the healthcare system is overrun and suffering. And if we can take care of our own bodies better, that's the way to go. So thank you for sharing, guys. Anybody else?
Oh, somebody asked what the brand of popcorn it was that you used,
I
Barbara.
think Barbara said no.
Compliments. I
Compliments.
shop at Sobeys, and Compliments is the one
Right.
with no sugar like added or anything. They have so many sugar stuff.
Yes. And that's what happens when you buy processed foods. So many sugars, so many
I could
chemicals.
make my own, but
Right.
it's sort of reasonable,
You know what? At Christmas time, my family and I were watching a very old movie. I can't remember the name of it, but the ladies were in the kitchen making ketchup, and my daughters looked at me and said, "They used to make ketchup?" Because who makes ketchup now?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, one of my members is from the States, and whenever she goes back home, her kids ask her to bring Heinz ketchup from Canada, because guess what? We have sweeter ketchup than they do, and it's both the same brand, but their rules are stricter about sugar than Canadian rules. So they want and I'm thinking, next time I go to the States, I'm going to get their ketchup, because it's got less sugar. But also last night, my kids took me out for dinner in Sage Creek. We went to the Parade of Homes. Was it ever fun? Oh, you guys, I got so many interesting decorating ideas. But anyway, we went to this restaurant after, and my daughter, I call her my bonus daughter. They're not married yet. They're getting married in Ireland in the fall. And I'm hoping to be able to go there. But sorry, I digress. I'm looking at my time, Debbie. I know we got to get going.
No, you've got lots of time. You have 15,
Okay.
20. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So they ordered beet chips. Now, I don't even eat beets. The only beets I ever ate were my grandma's pickled beets. They were always so sweet, and I was a little girl who loved sweets, so I'd have my grandma's pickled beets. But they ordered beet chips. And I was thinking, I'm not sure I'll be a fan of that. You guys, they were so good. They were so good. And so I was like, these are really good. Can you buy these? And she Stacy says, "Yeah, Mom, you can get them at Costco." I was like, okay, next time I go on a Costco run, I'm getting beet chips, because they're chock full of healthy things for you. And they were very tasty. And they served them with a little bit of ranch dressing, which I did have some of that. Anyway, so that's another treat that you can have if you want something salty or crunchy. And let's move on. Oh, yeah, Deb.
Yeah. I just have a question. What do you find the best way if you're freezing individual meals? What do you freeze them in, and how do you thaw or cook it once they're frozen?
You are wonderful. This is my segue. I'm into the freezers tour now. And we're going to talk right about that, because there are so many things that you can do to freeze things and not have to. Okay, for example, I used to be a homestay mom for two girls from China for 4 years. I call them my Chinese daughters. And we're still in touch, even though they left me in 2014. We talk every month. And they loved me to make a big bowl of rice and make it on Sunday. And it was a big, like I tripled the recipe and put it in the fridge. And they would have it like in the morning at lunchtime. Like they loved rice. And now, well, I found out that brown rice is better, but I don't mind brown rice, but I still like my white rice, but I don't eat it that much as they did. So if I make even a small amount, it's too much for me. So I found out you can put leftover rice in a baggie and you can put in the amount that's just for you, for 1 or 2 people. Because if you make a big thing of pot of rice and you just have a spoonful, you don't want to put the whole freezer bag, 1 freezer bag of rice in there, because then you have to pull out the whole thing. So you have a choice. You can either get a few small freezer bags and put it in separate, so you can just take out the 1 pork chop or the 1 chicken breast, the 1 little bag of leftover rice that way. Or you can put them, this is what I've heard, I haven't tried it, put them in a muffin tin and put a clump and then freeze it without anything covering it, then take it out after an hour and put them in the freezer bag, and then you just take out a clump. I've never done it, but that's what my friend, when she heard I was doing this, she said, oh, tell them about this. But I think it might depend if the rice is really sticky together or not, because would it stay together? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another thing that she told me. I apologize. I need a Kleenex. I'm just going to have to leave you for 1 second. Yikes.
You're on mute, Merle.
Yeah, I individually freeze packages of rice because I like rice. So it's
Yeah,
an
me
easy
too.
one to have in the freezer just to pull out. And usually if you pack it thin enough, it doesn't take too long to thaw. So that works very nicely.
Yeah, because 1 big thing after you make a pot, it's too much, right? So it's better
My favorite is brown jasmine rice, but it takes more cooking than
Yes, it
basmati
does.
rice.
And I
Oh,
have
is
to
that
agree with
good?
you. I don't know if I've had the brown one, but jasmine rice is so good. It's so good.
Mhm.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about my freezer. I'm going to take you on a freezer tour. I'm not going to bring my laptop to the freezer because I am one person who doesn't have an extra freezer.
No, I don't.
I thought about it, but especially since I've been eating healthier and more aware of my cooking, this is enough. And I just decided to be a little bit more organized and so I never have anything in there too long. It's usually gone. So I'm just going to show you what I have right now. I bought these containers at the dollar store. Can you see it? It's like a shoebox. And each one, I've got 4 in there. Can you see way back here or no? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these in there. And 1 is for meat. 1 is for meat. 1 is for vegetables. 1 is for miscellaneous. And usually in that one, it's like, I do love pierogies. So it's got pierogies and it's got a little bit of crumbled feta cheese. You can freeze feta cheese, and I use feta cheese in a lot of things, and you can freeze it, but you need to break it up instead of just leaving it in its container. Break it up into crumblies and put it in a freezer bag, and then you can just use what you need. You don't have to have the whole thing, because listen, the reason a freezer is so important is I used to have go in there, and I never, by the way, I never had an avocado before until this diet, and now I buy them by the bag. I think they're $4.99 or $5.99 for a bag of 5, and they're really healthy for you, and they're very good for fiber intake. And I was finding I could eat like a couple, but by the end of the week they were no good. I was throwing them out, or food gets bad so quickly now. It just seems like, and bacon, I would have a big thing of bacon, and it would get sour and gray, and I'd only used a few. So I started changing up how I use my freezer. So I started using muffin cups to make individual. Oh, I know I keep bouncing around here, but there's so many things I want to share with you. This idea of when you finish eating, whether you're making a big square or whether you're making just an individual dinner, there's always a little bit of leftovers, right? You might have that can of corn, but then there's a half a can left. Put it all in a baggie and save it for what a new term I learned called the kitchen sink meals. Kitchen sink. Of course, it means you throw everything in there but the kitchen sink. And so, you know, you can throw in leftover bacon in there. You can throw leftover vegetables in there, whatever is left over, rather than just keeping it in the fridge and then tossing it out a few days later when you realize you're not going to use it, is have it in the freezer. And then guess what? You got any idea what one of a good kitchen sink meal is? Anybody? Good kitchen sink meal? Oh, you know, you can make stir fry. Throw all the junk that that was left over and you throw it in a pan and you make a stir fry. You can make soup. You can throw just any kind of kitchen sink soup in there and just throw it all in. And this is my favorite one, and I use this. It's beating up some egg and milk and throwing it all into those little muffin cups and baking it with a little bit of cheese on top, and you've got individual frittatas, which would cost you a pretty penny at Costco. By the way, they're delicious at Costco. They're spinach and feta, and you can get a big box. I can't remember how much they are, but the kitchen sink idea is cheaper and it's delicious, and you can still add your crushed spinach and you can still add your feta in there and bake them. And then you let them cool, and they're individual little frittatas. And then you put them in the freezer, and whenever you want a quick breakfast, you pull one or two out and have it with toast. So that's another little tip. I'll show you my this is my smoothie container. My smoothie container has these are chopped up bananas. I take the skin off of them and I chop them up to about this size. So usually, depending on the size of banana you get, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Get them about that big. I buy the whole pineapple that's been cut but not sliced or diced. It's just like a whole cord. You've seen them at the store, I think. I buy those and I chop them up to about this size. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And then what I was going to say about the spinach, the reason this bag is not in my vegetable bag is I use this in my smoothies. It is a wonderful way to get your greens, is to add spinach to your smoothie. And if you don't like the color green, put a bunch of blueberries in there and you'll have a nice purpley blue drink to drink. But this is chopped spinach, chopped. So you can throw that in your kitchen sink frittata muffins, and you can have spinach frittata muffins. You can have your kitchen sink stuff that you saved all week and put that in there. There's lots of things you can do to make a nice little breakfast muffin for yourself. So I'm just going to throw this back in here so they don't thaw out on me. And we've got a few more minutes. And I never have anything left too long anymore in my freezer because I can see where everything is. The meat is there, the veggies are there, the miscellaneous is there, and the fruit is there. And it's very good for sometimes you find something and it's turned white in the back of the freezer. That never happens to me anymore. Okay, we're almost done. And there's other tips and tricks when you were talking, Debbie, and asking me, when I feel like chow mein noodles, you can buy this one. I don't know where I got it, but it comes in sections. So you just need to pull out, this is just out of my my cupboard. See, that's one serving. And you can put that in a soup bowl, pour boiling water over it, leave it for maybe 2 minutes, empty the water. No, did I empty the water or not? No, I left some of the water in. I emptied it a little bit. Put it in the microwave for a minute, and it is perfectly tender, not too mushy chow mein noodles. And I like that it comes individually. Like, it's called 3-minute chow mein noodles. That's all it says. Y&Y brand. I don't know where I got them, but I buy them a lot. And I usually mostly shop at what's the one at the end of St. Anne's Road? No Frills. No Frills. I shop at No Frills. I shop at Superstore. And I absolutely love the deli ham and the deli chicken at Sobeys. So those are the places I usually shop. And if you get yourself a chicken from Sobeys, you can do so much with that. You can make all kinds of great things. You can actually, when you bring it home, you can prep it. You can tear it all apart and put it in pieces and put it in the freezer. But this is very important. Whenever you freeze things, don't freeze them in a lump like this. Flatten them out in the bag and put the bag flat in the freezer. And then when you need that bit, you don't get the whole lump. You just get a bit. Okay, so that's really an important one. I'm just going to check my notes now because we're almost at the end and I didn't memorize the whole thing. If you don't know about air fryer, or if you have someone in your family who uses one, I highly recommend them. This is mine right here. They're very good for your health. When you cook bacon, the way I do bacon now, I never have bacon that goes green or gray or anything, because when I come home with my groceries, I put my bacon in the air fryer. I don't make it like super, super crispy, just enough that it's cooked.
Oh.
And all of the grease drops down. It has this tray. It has a tray. So the bacon sits on top, and I'm looking to see if it's dirty. I just used it last night. And the grease goes in the bottom. So it's healthier cooking for you. And you can put parchment paper in there, and you can put any roast vegetables on there that you want, spray them with a little olive oil and your favorite spices. And it's awesome, guys. I highly recommend this.
Question, when you cook the bacon, do you do the whole pound or the whole 350?
I do the whole package.
And then you freeze it?
And then I freeze it.
Ah,
yes.
okay.
Because if you freeze it, it lasts months. And then for my house, never lasts more than a couple of weeks even. I need it usually the next week because I use bacon in a lot of things. My kids love bacon and things, and I have them over a lot. So yeah, it's really good to, and again, that rule about freezing them flat so they're not in a big clump in a bag, because you're going to have to undo the whole thing. Then you're going to have to thaw out the whole thing. That's no good. Your whole secret of being able to do individual meals for yourselves is to keep the meat flat. Now, I did see on TikTok last week a lady, and I was going to show it to you, but I'm kind of lazy, and I think her way is a lot more work than my way. Okay, you might want to do it though, so I'll tell you what she did. She took a parchment paper and made a square like the size of the length of a slice of bacon. Then she put the slices of bacon right along the parchment paper. Then she rolled the parchment paper so it was like a long ribbon with individual things. And because that wouldn't fit in her freezer properly, in between each bacon strip, she cut the roll. So now she had her 10 slices of bacon in separate little parchment paper rolls. She put that in a freezer bag and put that in the freezer. But to me, I'd rather just cook it and have it and pull it out than do all the extra. But a lot of people in the like comments said, we're going to try it. Thank you so much. So if that's something that you would like to do, is to wrap your bacon in parchment paper, go for it. Whatever it is that makes it so you can take things out a little bit at a time. Yeah. Does anybody else have any?
Yeah, I cut up
Pardon?
a pound. When I get a pound, I cut it up into 6 slices and wrap each one and put it in the freezer.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, that's what you need to do. And you can use it for so much, right? Anybody else have any other tips and tricks that maybe you'd like to share that I don't know? As I don't know a lot.
Oh, you do know a lot.
I'm learning, but it's mostly about saving money, saving time, and saving stress, honestly.
I love
And-
your picture, Karen.
Well,
It is a nice picture.
Beautiful.
Did you paint that yourself?
oh heavens, no.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And they
Thank
had pictures like that at the Parade of Homes yesterday. I had my daughter was taking pictures for me and I said, do you think you could paint something like that? She said, yes. So maybe that's what I'm getting for my birthday. Anyway, I see our other guy is coming in here and I just wanted to say one more thing. And that is whatever you do for sharing your cooking experience, to make it fun, I should say, share your experience, have your kids over, go for a Costco run with friends and share your loot. If there's too much in one container for you, have a little party with her after, go to your place, divide up the loot, have a nice meal together, put on the music when you're cooking, enjoy yourself. And if one of my friends loves making cinnamon buns and she makes a ton of them, and she takes them across the road to the neighbor who is alone and shares them with her and shares them with her family. So cooking for one isn't a lonely thing, it's a fun thing. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Any final questions or comments from anyone before we
This
go?
is very informative. There's a few, the tips I really liked because, you don't know everything. It's great. Yeah, it was very.
Oh,
good.
I have one more because my friend yesterday, I did this routine with her and she said, don't forget this tip because I love that. You gave me this tip and I really loved it. I use broth in a box. I don't know how you guys use your broth, but I buy broth in a box. And sometimes the half was sitting there doing nothing and I'd have to throw it out because I wasn't sure when was the last time I used it. Now what I do is I put it in ice cube trays. I
Oh,
freeze it and I put and then I undo the ice cube tray and I put all the squares of broth in a baggie and put it in my freezer. And then I have as much broth as I need when I need it.
excellent.
So she said, don't forget to tell them your broth trick because I use it all the time now. And I'm so glad, Barbara, that you mentioned that about learning things because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot the broth tip.
I've got
And the
another one.
avocado.
Yeah. If I steam or boil vegetables, I don't throw that liquid out. I put it in a container, a yogurt container in the freezer and just keep adding. And any good pieces of vegetables that I'm taking off that are not dirty or gross or anything, they go in that container. And so, for instance, I did splay cocked chicken so that the backbones got thrown in that thing. And yesterday,
Awesome.
the whole container went in and I made broth. So
You're making the best broth ever, all natural ingredients. That's
nothing
awesome.
wasted. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, and I have to tell you about does anybody here ever have avocado toast?
Oh,
I have gluten-free kids and for some of them I make avocado toast and for some of them I put it on a hash brown. But one more tip, it'll take me 2 minutes, just a second.
Kind of divvied up the task of putting together this kit, which is due the end of April. So
These are this is my last one, so I've got to go grocery shopping. This is a clump of avocado mush. So what I do is when I buy the bag, I put it in a cupboard in my where my dishes are and let it get ripe. Then I cut the avocados up and scrape them out. And then I put you can buy, I never knew this before, everything bagel seasoning. And I put that in there and I put a little bit of feta cheese in there and I mash it all up. Then I take my cookie sheet with parchment and I put the little bowls of little blobs like this on the sheet and I put them in the freezer. Once they're frozen in about half an hour or so, I put them in a bag. And then anytime I want, even if I just want a light snack, I'll get out a couple of hash brown squares. I'll put them in my air fryer. I'll put my mush on top. I'll put a little bit of egg, and I've got myself a nice little light meal. So don't forget, avocados are really good. And if you prep them when they're ripe, you won't waste anything. You won't have to throw anything out. So thank you so much. Sorry about the extra time.
No,
No, that was wonderful, Susan. Very interesting. I love your closing words about making it fun.
yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. So,
Well, great. Well, that should wrap us up then, as everybody, we have some hard outs. Don't forget, we have some upcoming Zooms. Where's my list? April 4th, we have the World Police and Fire Games. So find out what's happening with the games if you want to volunteer or get involved. We have on the 18th of April, the tour of the new conservatory, The Leaf. So the 4 different biozones in there. And if you haven't been there, this is a great opportunity to see the place with its large indoor waterfall. Then in May, the editor of the Winnipeg Free Press is going to be, Paul Simon's going to come and chat with us and talk to you about the process of journalism. And yes, Suzette, we have recorded the presentation and I will be putting it up on the website in the coming months. I won't say days because I know I won't get it done, but I can send you the link to the video once I have it done. It's a little raw if you want, but I can send you that. I'm just reading all the comments. Suzette, what was the name of the popcorn? Was a question that was asked earlier.
Oh, the popcorn I mentioned,
Oh,
compliments, just a compliments brand. A blue
Perfect.
bag, the blue bag.
okay. All right, then with that, I say thank you very much, Susan. It was a wonderful presentation. Great to see everybody again. And it's spring. It's getting warmer. The sun's out longer. Please enjoy the day. All right, everybody. Take care.
Very good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.